So this summer, I was fortunate enough to be able to work, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity. One night, my friends from work and I went out to dinner. This is when restaurants were still open, and we were celebrating the end of the session. Before we went out, I dressed up and I did my makeup and sat down with everyone when I got there. I was sitting at a table with a group of my girlfriends, and obviously we have to compliment each other. Oh my God, I love your jeans! Or, your hair looks so cute. How'd you do it? And for me, one particular conversation stuck out. The girl I was talking to didn't mean anything negative, I'm sure, but here's how the conversation went. Emmy, your eyelashes look amazing. In turn, I replied, thank you. They're so straight and go super downward, so it takes a lot of effort to get them to curl. I think it's because of my Korean genes. To which she replied, yeah, a lot of my friends who are, you know, I don't want to say the word, they have that problem as well. So I asked her, what word? And she whispered, Asian. So obviously, Asian isn't a bad word. It's exactly who I am, and I'm proud. But being Asian isn't something that usually people skirt around saying. So in this context, it sounds a little bit ridiculous. But what if I asked you to switch the word Asian with the word disability? For example, yeah, a lot of my friends who are, I don't want to say the word, have that problem as well. What word? A person with disabilities. Now that's something we hear a lot more often. When I was 15, I began volunteering at a kids rehabilitation hospital in Toronto called Holland Bloorview. Here's a recent picture of me with all my PPE or personal protection equipment. With over 8,700 clients, 450 inpatient admissions, and over 55,000 outpatient visits, they work to provide the most meaningful and healthy futures for all children, youth, and families. So I'm someone who is able-bodied and neurotypical, which means I'm not diagnosed with any physical or mental disabilities. My experience at Holland Bloorview has set me on a path of learning and growth that I'm still continuing right now. As a part of society in various communities that are predominantly neurotypical and able-bodied, it is my responsibility to educate myself and others around me on matters of inequality regarding people with special needs or disabilities. And I'm still growing and making mistakes and assumptions all the time, but I've come a long way. When I first started at Holland Bloorview, I was completely ignorant about a number of things, and I'm comfortable saying that I was ignorant. It's not a bad thing because it's about growth. That's where I was, and now I've gained important knowledge and experience that has opened my eyes and helped me enable myself for the better, and helped me develop myself for the better. The most profound thing I've learned in the last year is equity versus equality. So it's a difficult concept to understand, and here's how I gained an understanding of the terms. There are three people of different heights trying to see over a fence. Equality would mean you give them all the same size stool to see over the fence. So as you can see, this doesn't make sense. Sure, it's equal because they all get the same thing, but the tallest person doesn't need the stool at all, and the shortest person needs a taller stool. Now, this differs from equity. Equity isn't giving everyone the same thing, but it's allowing people access to the resources that they, as an individual, need to succeed. While we continue to fight for equal rights for everyone with different abilities, it's important to keep in mind what these equal rights mean. We're fighting this fight for equity, not equality, because all of us being the same isn't the goal. The goal is to find the right stool for everybody. I have a friend who has cerebral palsy, and this diagnosis affects her ability to move and has to do with her brain. So equality would mean trying to get rid of her diagnosis, so she is the same as I am. Just think about how ridiculous that sounds. And this is my point. that we should strive to celebrate these differences, to recognize them and deliver support only if and when we need to. The support that we give will change depending on the person and their diagnosis, and that's okay. This friend of mine, she goes to online school, can be left by herself or play on her iPad, and what she can't do, she asks for help or has her own set of tools, such as a power chair for mobility, and she types instead of writes. She is living the way that she has always known. I think a lot of people like to call those with special needs courageous or brave, but what's so courageous about going on about your life? Now, granted, there are quite a few obstacles that people with special needs must face if they need special surgeries or their feelings are misunderstood, but this courage comes from the person. It is not diagnosed by their having a diagnosis. 1 in 5 Canadians over the age of 15 have a disability. That's about 6.2 million Canadians just going on about their lives. I'd like to change ideas about the stigmas and assumptions that are made about youth with disabilities because of their special needs. This is not some problem you have to fix, but an opportunity to recognize and appreciate our differences. Thank you.